take you around and show you some of the first places, like real job I had where I worked, and the first place I lived, and the first house I built, and those kind of things. So let's go check it out.
Oh, the day I break these chains, I'm bound for the life of the simple things.
So over here is, real quick, is the first apartment I ever had on my own. It was with me and then my first wife and everything. So there's the chevron. That was the same chevron there all the way back then, 18 years ago. So is it 18 years ago? No, 20 years ago. 20 years ago now. So I lived in these apartments over here 20 years ago. Right here. These used to be actually pretty cool apartments when I first moved in here. Had a nice pool and tons of trees. They cut a lot of them down, and management changed while we were there, and it never was the same. It just kind of declined. So Park Lane, yeah. This was the first one when my wife and I had moved here. It was funny, we had $1.69 and a quarter tank of gas when we moved in here, and just 3 years later we built a house, you know, and we were just kids. Looks decent. Somebody's totally repainted them, but I lived over here on this side over here. We used to play volleyball. They used to have volleyball nets set up in the back here that we used to play volleyball with our neighbors right out there in that green space. And I lived in this building over here, right here, 10116. I lived right there in that building, right there. That was my apartment, first apartment. First place I ever lived on my own. First job I ever had over here was actually down across the bridge, on the other side of the river, and it was way out. I know they don't exist anymore because they went away back in 2003 completely. Like it was Alcatel. And I know they make some phones now, I've seen, but at the time Alcatel was really big into fiber optic cable, and that was the first place I ever worked, was in a manufacturing, well, first place I ever had an adult job. Like I worked for farmers and stuff like that, and I ran a potato hogger before that and stuff, and well, I guess Safeway. I worked at Safeway too, bagging groceries. But the first full-time job that I ever worked as an adult was at a fiber optics plant. Just about to drive into my old neighborhood over here. Like most of these businesses along here, other than the Analog Devices, all have different names on them. So places must have moved and new ones leased out. Even in the industrial buildings, things are so much more built up. So this here is Parker Estates I'm about to go into. Now this was a custom home development originally, prior to me buying into it. I mean, it was still custom home even after I bought into it, but I actually had a production builder build the house, and so it wasn't quite as nice as the other homes in here, but I paid a lot less to have it built and stuff than my neighbors had. So you know, there was some definite benefits to that. This is the first house that I ever had built. Coming up, it's this white with black trim house here on the corner. There it is, guys. That white house with the black trim, that was my house originally. See if they still left up the shrubbery that I had and everything. No, it doesn't look like the same neighbors there. Yeah, my same bushes are here. So both those the red ones there, those were bushes that I had done. I put in these trees in here to have the back cover. They've grown up really nice. They were not near that size before. Let me get turned around here again and take a look at it a little bit more, but that was the first house I ever had built. The fence had to be like super short like it was over there because of the codes here and the distance it was off of the property for it being a corner lot. Kind of made it so privacy was bad back there, but the trees sure did it. Now they weren't so helpful back then. We are again. So the house there is pony walled up, so underneath there's tons of storage. Like the crawl spaces literally stand up tall in there. But these guys here, a couple of these are the original plants that I had put in. It's pretty cool. Some of it's new. So much more grown up. I put in the sod and everything on this house. Completely did all of that. The rock in there. Although they certainly haven't taken care of that yard. It's a lot greener for me back then. These rocks right here, these rocks right here, that's that retaining wall. I snagged those from a rock quarry that was going on when they were digging a new exit off of the freeway, and I had to use on those and just gravelled it in there. But that was my first house I ever built. Sold that in 2005. We're coming into Camas, Washington, which is where the paper mill was that I first worked at, and it's where I worked when I first built that home over there. Right up here in front of me is the mill I used to work at. So they used to do everything here. Like they produced the paper pulp, they had the paper machines, build these huge rolls of paper, and then also converted it. It still smells like a paper mill. I used to joke around about that smelling like money when people would make fun of it, but it still definitely got its smell for sure. So let's go in here. I'm going to show you a couple of things here. So it's still a Georgia Pacific property, it looks like, which was the company that did the merger with it. Took over the mill when I was working there. At the end, they had bought it out. Oh, excellent. I can still show you in there a little bit, maybe I can get some view in there. If you can see up inside there, that paper machine up there inside that bay was where I worked. So that's a through air dryer, and it makes the paper that basically got packaged as Quilted Northern and some of the other better known brands. It's kind of hard to see in there. The yellow apparatus in there, that actually wasn't there when I worked here. Here's the little bar that everybody, that was really nice of everyone. So the day I got my last day from my pink slip from the layoff on the merger, everybody came over here with me. Everybody on it, even people that didn't drink, came over to this bar and said goodbye to me the last day. So it's a little place, a lot of memories. I really liked a lot of the guys that I worked with. So this probably was actually, you know, of a couple of different types of jobs that I've done, this mill was my favorite job probably. I actually ran the river in there and I really liked that job. It was the term for the job was repulper engineer, and basically what I did was I chemically designed the stock. You know, we mixed with different chemicals. You know, some of them were what's known as wet strength, and some of them to help give strength to the paper when we were running a towel product and everything. And you know, we didn't run that when it was toilet paper and stuff. And also, you know, we utilized a number of different things for breaking down stock, basically waste paper product, to break it down to be used. We called it broke at the time. So the mill here has actually been around since the 1800s, so it's been there forever. They got security here. They never used to have the security shacks here. I mean, this is a big deal. There's all kinds of issues, but right back here in the parking lot, they called it the converting parking lot back here, and that's where I was when 9/11 happened. I was pulling into there when the first building got hit by the plane. I was pulling into this facility. Anybody else out there remember where they were when 9/11 happened? I remember it so clearly. You know, I used to drive, that time I used to drive a little white Ranger pickup truck, and I was pulling in there and listening to the radio, and they interrupted the station that I listened to that was normally not talk radio or anything, and it just played music straight through. You know, it only had commercials on the hour, and they interrupted it to talk about the plane hitting the building. So that was a trip. For a second I thought it might be a prank, you know, but no, it was no prank. Get out there, connect with people, live your big story, and make sure you do something every single day to reduce world suck. Peace, guys.
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I tell you all about it when I see you again. We come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see